can we please talk about UFC261 coming your way Saturday night? If you are watching this on the Friday, thank you for subscribing to my Patreon. It is greatly appreciated, and I have got some terrific picks for you to put some terrible bets together, because like I said, you'll never get rich betting on MMA, but hey, you can have some fun along the way, which is what I full on intend on doing. So we're going to get into these fights, going to wrap it up in about 15 minutes. So this is the Burt Locker Fights in 15 for UFC 261. First off, I want to give an honourable mention to Jeff Molina. He's one of James Krause's guys. I've noticed that a lot of these James Krause fellas have been coming out looking really good. He's going against this Chinese guy. It's a pick'em fight. They're both 191 odds-wise. So it is a pick'em fight, but I do think that he's probably going to win that one. So if you want a coin toss one, I'd probably take Jeff Molina in that one. So the first fight I'm going to look at in detail is Anthony Smith versus Jimmy Crute. Now this is an interesting one, right? Because I'll get the odds up for you on the screen here. But as you can see, Anthony Smith is actually coming in as an underdog in this one, which I think is, I don't know, is almost fair, but not really. I mean, when you look at, on the face of it, you think, okay, Anthony Smith had a couple of rough losses, to Glover, Teixeira and Rakic. He did then come back looking very good against Devin Clark. He got a triangle, I think it was in the first round. Anthony Smith, he's a very high level black belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. On the flip side, so is Jimmy Crute. Jimmy Crute also holds a black belt in that discipline. However, I do think that when you look at the intangibles, that Anthony Smith has a very good chance of coming in as the underdog in this fight, because you've got, Smith is 6'4", 76-inch reach. Jimmy Crute 6'2". He's only got a 72.5-inch reach, so that's quite a decent reach advantage for Smith. And you would have to say that, on the face of it, Crute, his style, he has to get inside and land heavy shots, right? Whereas Smith, he can fight at range, and he has got the length to do so. He just has to do that effectively. So, easier said than done. Obviously, I'm not saying that Crute can't come in and win this fight, because Jimmy Crute is an absolute beast, and I'm a very big fan of Jimmy Crute. However, this is by far and away the toughest fight Jimmy Crute has faced so far, right? Because when you look at all the intangibles, you look at the people that they've fought, right? Level of competition, that's got to go. That's a check in favour of Anthony Smith, right? Height, Anthony Smith. Reach, Anthony Smith. I would go as far as to say the striking is probably slight edge to Anthony Smith. They're both very high level black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but everything else, body of work, experience, everything goes in favour for me to Anthony Smith. So him coming in as an underdog here, I just think that's very tempting to put on the bet slip. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. But I am going to specify very quickly, because the double chance here for Anthony Smith to get the finish, so that's submission or decision, is in fact +4. So that's circa 3-1. Which is incredible odds, really, when you consider that, that Anthony Smith is a finisher. Do you know what I mean? He does go out there and finish people. He submits a lot of people. Like, Devin Clark, I just mentioned, Alexander Gustafsson. He is full on capable of finishing fights, especially when it gets down to the ground. Now, he may not be able to find the submission against Jimmy Crute. As I said, Jimmy Crute is a high level black belt in himself. But I do think that Anthony Smith is a high enough level opponent here to possibly get the finish over Jimmy Crute, and +4 on that, I like it, because you're covering against the knockout as well. So I'm taking that. +4 on the submission. 10s on the submission is tempting, right? So because +4 on the double chance, so that's submission or TKO or knockout, but +10, 9-1 on the submission. That is tempting. When you look at the resume of Anthony Smith and you look at the guys that he's submitted, you know what I mean? He's submitted some good guys. So yeah, I'm going to be adding the double chance to my bet slip. Anthony Smith, double chance. Not quite my pick of the week, but it was close to my pick of the week. That was very clearly my pick of the week. Very nearly even. But not quite. So anyway, we also have the middleweights going back at it. Chris Weidman is back. Right? He says that he wants to make another run at the title. He says he's got 4 fights and he's heading over to to challenge Israel Adesanya. He says that he's a bad matchup for Israel Adesanya. There might be something to that. With Weidman's wrestling pedigree, and look at what Jan Blachowicz was able to do to Israel Adesanya just recently, the way Weidman mixes up his striking and his wrestling is actually quite impressive. And he is very, very good. When you look at the kind of the people that he's been losing to, I mean, I think he got knocked out by Jacare Souza. Like, it was just a weird big punch right to the forehead that just landed, and he got it was a weird stoppage against Gegard Mousasi, but I mean, he has been losing, but he's been losing to some really high top level guys. But I think people are kind of forgetting how good Chris Weidman is, because he is coming in, I believe, a very, very slight favourite against Uriah Hall here. Because credit to Uriah Hall is very good in his own right. I've liked Uriah Hall for a long time, but Uriah Hall is coming in as a slight underdog here, and I think that is fair, because I do think that Chris Weidman overall is really the better fighter. Because he does have that wrestling to fall back on. I don't feel like Uriah Hall is going to be able to stop the wrestling. I think that Chris Weidman is going to go back to what he's good at. He's also a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, don't forget. Sarah Longo, like they are killers when it gets to the floor. I think if it goes to the floor, then Chris Weidman gets the submission here. And I think that's exactly where it's heading. Don't get me wrong, I really like Uriah Hall, but it's almost like he never really quite found that killer instinct. He was really great on The Ultimate Fighter, doing those spinning back kicks, like being really flashy, but he then got schooled by Kelvin Gastelum, and he's had a couple of losses here and there, but when he's on form, he can beat the best. I mean, he beat Gegard Mousasi. That's really telling. He's on the best winning streak, I believe, of his career right now. And right now for Uriah Hall, it is now or never. When it comes to the belt, it is now or it is never, because he's 36, same as Chris Weidman, but Chris Weidman's already held the belt, so it's not now or never for Chris Weidman. It's like, maybe I'll get it again or never. So it's not quite the same situation. But I do think that Chris Weidman, he's going back to his natural weight class. He looked great at the weigh-ins. It looks like he's a natural 185 pounder. So I think that Weidman's going to be comfortable here. You look at the wins on Uriah Hall's record, and the ones recently, I mean, yeah, okay, he knocked out Anderson Silva, but Chris Weidman did that back when Silva was still on top. A knockout of Anderson Silva does not mean what it once did. It really doesn't, which is, hard to say, but it's harsh but true. And yeah, so my opinion on this one is Chris Weidman gets it down to the floor, and when he gets it down to the floor, he will find that submission. The submission is +5s at the moment, so I'm adding that to the bet slip. Chris Weidman by submission, +5. Terrible bet. Shevchenko against Andrade. So this is the only one of the one of the 3 title fights on the card. I mean, honorable mention to Zhang Weili against Rose Namajunas. I haven't got a Scooby-Doo who's going to win that one. It's like, take your pick. I think that's going to be an excellent fight. I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it, but I'm not betting on that one because I just feel like I don't really have an inkling. I only bet on the ones where I feel like there's maybe an underdog or a result that might kind of come in. So you've got Shevchenko against Andrade. Now, we've only seen Andrade once at this weight class at flyweight, and she won in pretty spectacular fashion. She looked very, very good. I don't think it's enough to beat Valentina, though. Valentina Shevchenko, she's just on another level, isn't she? She's just so crazy good. I don't understand. I don't see a path to victory necessarily for Jessica Andrade. That's not to say that she won't, because I'm not actually betting on the result on this fight. Because what I'm going to bet on is I've noticed a pattern, right? Now, since Valentina's loss to Amanda Nunes, she has gone finish, decision, finish, decision, finish, decision. So the next fight, she should get the finish. That's what I'm putting my money on. 1.73 for Valentina. Well, the double chance is 1.73 for Valentina as well. But instead, I'm putting my bet on 1.73 for the fight not to go the distance. So even if Jessica Andrade manages to pull out a huge slam and knocks Shevchenko out, that one still carries over. So yeah, Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Andrade, fight to go the distance. Add that to the bet slip. Terrible bet. So then we've got the main event. Now this is a huge main event because these guys hate each other. And it's always a little bit more fun when the fighters hate each other, don't they? Do you know what I mean? And this one is going to be a good one. But as much as Jorge Masvidal is a great character and it's a great story and he's got these great highlight reel knockouts, right? You know, he's Street Jesus, for God's sake. He's just such an encapsulating kind of force, and I love seeing him in the UFC. I love seeing him in the title fight as well. It's really good fun. But I don't think it's enough to beat Kamaru Usman. I think that Kamaru Usman, he might be one of the best welterweights we've ever seen. He's just so good in every area, and he just seems to keep on getting better. Since he moved over to Trevor Whitman, he just seems like he's almost kind of gotten better. He makes better decisions. He sticks to game plans, and he makes good decisions. Now, the first fight went the distance, right? I think the key here is not height or reach or kind of stamina or power. I think the key here is age, right? Because Chael Sonnen has a motto that usually rings true, right? And that is, when two fighters rematch, the younger guy will win, only faster. And that usually holds up. So the last time they fought, obviously it went to a decision. And my question to you is this. Do you think that Jorge Masvidal can go 10 rounds with Kamaru Usman without getting finished? Albeit there's been a break between the 5th round and the start of the 6th. But, you know, half a year or more. But do you think, because effectively that's what he's going to end up doing if he wants to stay in this fight. You know, he can. I don't think he can. I just don't think that this one's going to go the distance. And I do think that it's going to be Usman that wins it. So when you're getting 3.25 on Kamaru Usman, double chance, submission or knockout, I feel like you've got to take that bet. I've put just a £5 single bet on that because that's my pick of the week. My pick of the week is Kamaru Usman to get the finish over Jorge Masvidal, because I don't see any situation where Jorge Masvidal can survive 10 rounds with Kamaru Usman without being finished, one way or another. I think that Jorge Masvidal is leaving that fight kind of before the end of the 5th round. And that's a great price. 3.25 for one of the best welterweights we've ever seen to finish a fight in 5 rounds. You've got to take that. You have to take that bet. Come on. So that's why that's my pick of the week. So let's have a look at what I like to do is take all of those bets, because on the face of it, as single bets, those are not bad bets. They are not terrible bets per se. But you start rolling them all together and you get some really terrible bets. So I'll propose to you this. What you do is you take the Smith knockout submission double chance. You take the Weidman submission. Take Valentina and Andrade to go the distance. And Usman for knockout or submission. 112.27. So it's about 110 to 1. Boom, that is a terrible bet, and it's one that I am all over. I am full on in favour of that. I'm also full on in favour of removing Valentina and Andrade going the distance out of that and just taking the treble. On Smith, the double chance, Weidman submission, Usman double chance. You get 65s on that, so 64 to 1. That is not a bad price. Not a bad price at all. Boom, terrible bet. Smith and Usman both to get the finish is 13s. So 12 to 1 on Smith and Usman, both to get the finish. That's crazy odds. That's a license to print money. Terrible bet. Bang that on. And like I said, my pick of the week is that Jorge Masvidal will not go 10 rounds without getting finished by Kamaru Usman. 3.25 on Kamaru Usman to get the finish. That is my pick of the week. That is a terrible bet. And if you want to find out how all these bets turned out, you're going to have to switch over to my Patreon on Wednesday. Usually Wednesday or Thursday, I do the wrap-up show. But that is exclusively on my Patreon. If you would like to go to the banner in my YouTube, on my YouTube channel, there is a link to my Patreon. It is an absolute bargain. £1 a month. month, and you get an additional show as well as all my picks, my fights in 15, and yeah, and loads of other stuff. I always keep the content coming. It's constant entertainment and fun in the world of MMA. So sign up to my Patreon. You will not regret it. And until next week, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.